What can you tell us about Jenni after Monmouth?
Well, after she and her friends founded Pi Beta Phi, they all kind of went their separate ways, except that she and her uh, really lifelong friend, Emma Kilgore, both lived near Little York. And Emma got married to Dr. Kilgore, who was he was a physician. He'd been in prison during the Civil War in a Confederate prison, and they married and still maintain close connections with Jenni. And Jenni was always kind of interested in the medical profession. And Dr. Kilgore came down with cholera, I believe, and nobody would come to the house to help them out or anything. Emma and her husband, but Jenni did, and she nursed them back to health, and so she was, quite from early on. I think she was interested in helping people, and it was kind of during that time that Dr. Kilgore said, you really ought to think about going into the profession, and supposedly he lent her some of his medical textbooks at that point that she sort of eagerly devoured. And he urged her to go to a women's medical school in Philadelphia. He also urged his own wife Emma to go to the school, but she didn't. She decided not to. But anyway, she enrolled, and it was unusual in that time for women to go to medical school. This was the 1870s, and it just wasn't done much. I think it was about 1850 when the first women were even allowed to go to medical school. So, but at Monmouth, she took the scientific course of study, which, from the beginning, women were allowed to do that. It was somewhat unusual, but, she just had a proclivity for science. So that's what she did, and graduated from the medical school in Philadelphia. And
What lasting impact do you think she had on the field of science?
well, I think in one interesting way, even though she died young, she became sort of the namesake for this home in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, that the Pi Phi's founded, a hospital to help poor, impoverished people, and they gave it her name, and so she was kind of the inspiration for that, and so that became sort of one of their philanthropies, and still going strong today. So, that combined with the fact that she was one of a handful of women in the 1870s who went to this medical school and helped promote that profession among women. And they were small numbers, but everyone that did that probably had an impact on the overall kind of momentum of women in science.